The process of dating the boys that I am is aging me, and I was feeling very old lately until I remembered that I'm fairly slim, I'm young, and I was reminded of these facts when I was listening to a Gloria Gaynor song called I Will Survive, and she says, I have all my life left to give. I have all my love left to give. And I thought, Gloria singing this, and she must be like 30. So I'm 21 years old. And I feel like, certain aspects of me are just completely constant. I just ran. And I was thinking about that, and it struck me that life that I'm living is making me feel very old and very small, but also at the same time, very like gluttonous and big. So I can't even really enjoy the social benefits of being small that I would approve of through consciousness. And I was thinking about that fact, about how I don't want to have sex anymore, and about how my soul never gets to feel like it's taking flight when I'm next to all of these guys trying to show them like what their lives could be. And my soul never gets to open up out of my heart and just fly across the sky. It never gets to do that. And I'm especially disturbed by the fact that there's a dark irony to how these boys make me feel so severe and so old. They wish I would relax when I'm intimate with them. In hindsight, they say that I'm too complicated. And maybe it's encouraging these things, being severe and being complicated, because despite my efforts to fold in and out inside of myself like this, Russian doll, I still manage to remain something of myself if they don't approve. There must be something of me that's left that was expressed if, they feel that I wasn't good enough, I wasn't passive enough. I was thinking about Olivia Rodrigo's song All American Bitch, and there's a line in that which I thought was very poignant, where she says, I know my place, and this is it. And I looked around my life and at different situations. I thought about Hugo and his ex, who I ran into on the street. And I thought about like how he was smoking, so he must be unhappy. And then he also was shorter than I'd remembered. And I wasn't angry at Leela. Really, I tried to cultivate sympathy for her, because if he's smoking next to her, that means that whatever role he decided to cast her in, she wasn't acting up to par. And that's why he's smoking, because he'd never smoke around me. Because he believed I was a Puritan. And also, like, I don't know, maybe I was better at making him happy because I'm smart and knew what he wanted. And Leela's kind of dumb, so she doesn't know what he wants even. And I thought about Leela. I thought about how maybe I shouldn't envy her. She's in her second year right now, during a term of university, which really matters a great deal. And she's a young woman who isn't applying herself, won't allow herself to apply herself. And she's in this friend group with people like Millie and Aaron, and all they really know is how to get drunk. But I'm sure they've had conversations that I'm not privy to, and maybe they offer her something that I just don't know. I haven't seen all sides of them. Maybe she's smarter than I think, and she has more depth than I realize. I mean, every person does. Perhaps there are components of her I don't know about, and I'm just going off of the fact that she's really beautiful and tall and blonde. And did you know David Byrne covered Driver's License? It is absurd and strange, but there was something to that experience of first hearing Olivia Rodrigo's Driver's License, and she says, and you're with that blonde girl who always made me doubt. She's so much older than me, and she's everything I'm insecure about. And then hearing David Byrne's older and masculine response, you're probably with that blonde boy, he's so much younger than me. and he's everything I'm insecure about, which was like very touching. And it felt like it gone from this juvenile song to a more universal reflection and meditation on aging. So I ran, I studied today, saw Hugo with Leela. I came upstairs back to my room, I listened to music, tried to cry, and I danced, and then I streaked red lipstick across my cheeks for war paint, and I ran and walked and then ran. And I feel a little bit better. Hearing all of these songs too, like they're so profound. Like hearing Mia Follock say, "I choose flight," was lovely, because all of these like compartments I try to like contort all of me into, like I'm doing it to be loved, right? That's why girls do this. They want to be loved. And that's certainly why I do it. And I think that that's because love is a liberation. And that's what I'm looking for when I try to make myself very small. You know that love entails sacrifice, so maybe that's why you think that you need to do these like things to make yourself very small in order to be loved. And once you get in the habit of doing them, it almost feels a little bit natural, this thing you perceive as selflessness, but at some point it becomes cowardice, and it's difficult to tell when it's even selflessness anymore and it's not just complete and utter self-preservation. I mean, you have glimpses of it, right? Like when you think you ought to be loved and you're not. And I think you usually feel that way when you feel like you've performed at your highest level and you're still not loved. Then it's like, maybe I don't know what the formula is here. And you want to believe there's a formula, because if there's not a formula, and the fact is that love is as chaotic and absurd as the rest of the universe's, processes and going-ons are, then it's just sort of like unthinkable, and it's hard to think like, what do I do with this piece of information? But I think that I'm able to breathe properly when I'm not performing for men. Like, sometimes the Riot Girl act gets a little bit tiring. It's not an act though, it's like the closest I feel to being free, that's the thing. Like, all this Riot Girl stuff feels very juvenile, and like it feels really cool, but it never feels like sustainable as a way to live your life, because when you're presenting in ways that are very palatable, with like the occasional grunt of dissatisfaction that is like your mode of defiance in this like enslavement to the man that you've chosen. So when you behave in those ways with your handler, it can kind of feel like this Riot Girl thing is fun, but when he stops being your boyfriend and he becomes your handler, and I suspect that's probably what he's always been, just because you chose him as your master doesn't mean that you're not his slave. And I think that what ends up happening in that situation is that you forget what it means to truly be free, because this whole thing of like being a real feminist and being interested in the Riot Girl movement and really committing yourself to these things and really absorbing them at a very deep level, you can breathe for the first time. And I think I forgot how much it meant to me. Like, I remember that feeling that I can't be with a stupid man anymore, but somewhere along the way I forgot. And lots of women forget, and then they sometimes never remember again. They don't. But I'm 21 and I've forgotten once, but I don't have to wait till I'm 40 and unhappy to remember again. So, like Mia Follock, I'm choosing flight, and I'm choosing to remember again what it means to be me, and how it feels to be free. Like when you hand in your shackles, and then you feel this like phantom pain because you're just used to like a weight pulling you down. I think it's a while before you realize the weight really is gone, and that you can move in ways that you don't even remember.